the Los Angeles Chargers have chose violence. Or maybe I should say they woke up and they chose success. This is breaking news, and I want to give my initial reaction. The Los Angeles Chargers, Jim Harbaugh finally agrees. He's moving over from Michigan. He's coming back to the NFL. And I think for some guys, it's all about that chase. Now, this is a guy, you win a national championship with the University of Michigan. I think there's three immediate things that he's going to bring to the Los Angeles Chargers. One thing we all know, this football team will be established based upon the trenches. Rashawn Slater, that's the bookend left tackle. Everyone else will be top-tier dogs when we talk about offensive line play for this football team. One thing I can also say, Justin Herbert, he's going to be a more efficient quarterback. I think he has a lot of numbers, but when I talk about winning, who can maximize the offensive talent of this football team and get the best out of those guys, kind of revive what we saw last year out of Quentin Johnson, I think Jim Harbaugh is your guy. How can we establish a running game, which Los Angeles hasn't had for the past 5 years? I think Jim Harbaugh is your guy. You look at what he's going to be able to do. The aura he has as a head coach, he's going to bring in a great offensive and defensive coordinator. I think when you look at that, this is a football team that's coming off a tumultuous time with head coach Brandon Staley. For the longest, I think this was a tenure highlighted by losing a 20-plus point lead to the Jacksonville Jaguars in the playoffs. But no more. We're looking at some new things when we talk about this Los Angeles Chargers team. You can see the excitement brewing out of me as I talk about this football game because I'm looking at what the possibility of this team is next year. I'm looking at, okay, you got to know you got Kansas City. You got to know you got Las Vegas. They got Antonio Pierce. You got to know you got the Denver Broncos, who may possibly take a quarterback in the coming up draft. But I think what you have the ability to do is kind of flip this thing on its head, but you also have some talent which you could possibly work with this team currently if you're Jim Harbaugh. I think you have the quarterback position figured out. Everyone can say what they want to say about Justin Herbert. One thing we can't deny, he has every single trait in the book, outside of maybe some pocket presence here or there. But we look at arm talent. This is a guy, you place him in a system, in a scheme, he's going to be successful. 4,500 yards in a given season, you can book that. I think they're going to look at the table. They're going to look at what they want to do with the running back market with Austin Eckler. They're going to revisit that. But even still, you can find a running back somewhere. I think you probably want to keep Austin Eckler if you can keep him on a reasonable deal. You look at the receiving corps, some of the guys they have there. I think you got Keenan Allen, even though he's aging. Mike Williams has to stay healthy, but we know when he's in the football game, he's a great player. You're looking at Gerald Everett. Do you want to draft the tight end? Possibly. Quentin Johnson, of course, a rookie who I aforementioned out of TCU, had a down year, but can they get the best out of him? Jim Harbaugh is going to assist in getting the best out of that guy. And then, like I say, you look at Rashawn Slater, you look at some of the guys on the offensive line, and I'm thinking, okay, now we start to build this team a little bit. And defensively, the way this team is structured, some of the guys they have on defense, if you want to go with the team as currently constructed, that's something you can do. But I feel like you also have an option, and this is talking about the draft process a little bit. We haven't gotten that close to the draft just yet, but as I prepare my draft content, I'm looking at some of these things. They currently hold the number 5 pick in the NFL draft. What do you want to do with that pick? Now, my reason in saying that is because do you want to cut some veterans, get you a little more cap space, or do you feel like the current cap situation you have is okay because there's a little ways you can finagle this thing a little bit? Joey Bosa. Is he a trade target? Is that a guy you're going to put on the trade market and try to get back some capital for him? Because you look at, okay, he's aging a little bit, although he's still very young, but he's aging a little bit. Second contract coming on the line. What do you want to do there? I think that is a guy who has been injured when we talk about Los Angeles Chargers football. When he's healthy, no doubt he's a primetime premier number 1 pass rusher. Khalil Mack, what do you want to do right there? You look at Asante Samuel Jr., you possibly could add to the cornerback depth in the NFL draft. And then Derwin James in the back end, in the front 7, Kenneth Murray, Eric Kendricks. I'm thinking one thing they could do, because some teams are going to get quarterback hungry. You think about Jaden Daniels, you think about Michael Penix. Now, it's a long time from the NFL draft, and a lot of draft prospects will rise and some will fall. But you have to think, if they don't want to take Malik Neighbors, if they don't want to take Olu Fashanu, Joe Alt with that number 5 pick, What could they do with that? For a team that's so quarterback hungry, could you move out of that and then possibly go down a couple of spots, get you a Brock Bowers, get you a Roma Dunze? What do you want to do right there? I'm looking at those type of players. Or do you want to get an edge guy? Do you want to get Latu? Do you want to get Jared Verse, Dallas Turner? Now your mind starts to rumble a little bit when you look at Los Angeles Chargers football. But it all comes back to this. You got the head coach guy figured out. Jim Harbaugh coming to this team, 144-52 as a college head coach, 49-22-1 as an NFL coach. This is a guy who can win football games. This is a guy who can turn your program around. This is a guy who will build through the trenches. He's going to have a physical football team. After you play a Jim Harbaugh-led team, you're going to know. You're going to have scratches, bruises, bumps, all of those aches and pains after you play a football team like this. I think about his NFL tenure, and it's highlighted by what we all know, the San Francisco 49ers. What that football team was, it was something special, and it was still a team built upon the trenches. You think about some of those backs, some of those guys in the front seven, some of those guys on the offensive line. This is where we come back to it and say, can you get this done just like you just did at Michigan? Can you bring it to the NFL? I really like what the Los Angeles Chargers did. I think I'll be talking about this move more and more as we progress. But right now, I want to give my initial thoughts and some of the things that I see and some of the things that I feel when talking about this football team. There is no guarantees in the NFL, but if you have a quarterback, you have a head coach, and you got a lot of talent surrounding that, the sky is the limit. We'll see what the Los Angeles Chargers do next year. They're in a great division. Antonio Pierce, he's going to look to improve that team. What the Denver Broncos are going to do, we're going to have to see that as well. But we know Patrick Mahomes is right there down the street. He's always going to be around the corner. Jim Harbaugh, are you the guy that can take down Patrick Mahomes and win the AFC West? Only time will tell, but that's going to do it for today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And now, we out.